back to the original phrase, business as usual is over. The practical reality of the power that governs everything here is the natural world. And if you don't comprehend that power, you're really going to come a cropper, because that is the ultimate authority. You cannot challenge that, and it will prevail. And so we have to understand where we are at this moment, and challenging the natural laws that prevail is a failure. So quickly now, I think we have to organize ourselves into a global thought. This is a global problem. This is not you have to do away with borders. You have to do away with nation ideas, the concept of that. To meet this problem, you have to think globally, and the solution is global. And so, how do we bring the people to comprehend that and to change the values? We met the Permanent Forum for Religious and Parliamentary Leaders met for 4 or 5 years, and we finally came to a conclusion, and the conclusion was 4 words: value change for survival. If you don't change your values, you're not going to survive. And so what is driving us right now is Western values, and they have failed. They have completely failed. We're in a spiral in the United States, which I don't see people coming out of very quickly. Very, very serious spiral. But however, I think that the people and the innovations which we saw here over these past few days it brings a lot of hope, and I think that remind what we were instructed long ago to leaders: never take hope from the people. You have to encourage them, and you have to lead by example. And I think maybe that's where we're lacking. Our leaders are not leading by example.
So what should we do?
We have to throw the question to the people. We were instructed long ago, again, that when the question is so huge that you yourself cannot find an answer, they said, throw the question to the people. Out there is an answer, and out there is somebody who is thinking. So everybody is in this. This is not... leaders are simply there to guide. It's the people that have the power and authority, and they should exercise that. All of the Hunter's advice to understand the limits of the carrying capacity of the earth. That's where we are. We're in a compound action right now, 2 compounds. One is the ice is melting, and as it melts faster and faster. So we're experiencing right now this acceleration, and the science is finally recognizing that. MIT just made a confession, I would say, as they readjusted their thinking from a position they took 6 years ago, where they said that the heat will be at 2.5 Celsius by 2100. And now they revised that. They said, oh, we made a mistake. It's going to be 5.4 or more. And that's a serious...
that's another planet.
That's another planet. And that's a realization that you have to go beyond the science, and you really have to think about the compassion that was mentioned here, which is fundamental to leadership and so forth. And the change that I'm talking about, the values, is how you think. Materialism, is over, and we have to get back to compassion. We have to put our values in relationships and understand that, and begin this process of readjustment to face the reality of the limits of our earth.
The trouble is, we need to recognize which worldview we're talking about. I have just come back from Zimbabwe. My foundation is caring for 2,000 children who are starving. I walked into a hospital, there were no medicines, no drugs. Now we know there are political reasons for that, but I've also just come back from Congo, which is stable and growing. I've come back from Nigeria, stable and growing. These countries require economic growth. So it's easy for us to sit in Sweden and say, yes, we need to take a carbon cut. We're easy to sit in America and say we need to go on a carbon diet. But when I look at my brothers and sisters in places like Nigeria, Congo, Tanzania, Botswana, Burundi, I'm unable to say you need a carbon cut. I'm only able to say you need a carbon growth right now. Because carbon is what they have. That is the energy source they have. It's the carbon they grow in their villages. They're cutting it down, burning to cook and things like that. And they need economic growth. maybe we need to make a sacrifice in our countries to be able to accommodate some of that. And I'm sure that is the great dilemma. It's for us to go on a severe carbon diet that allows parts of the world to continue to grow their carbon use while still developing other renewables.
That was the equity that is missing from this whole equation, the equity.
Yes.
The equity is what's lacking now, and what's what you're talking
Yes.
about. So we have to adjust. It's reality.
But although I'm a Democrat too, I really understand, I think, the democratic process. Still, I'm in business, so what I do is action. I think many of the problems that we have today comes from the business society as such. Also, many good things comes from the business society. But I think inside the business society where I live, there's a lot of bad values. And I think one of the things that we have to do is to change many of those values, to move from 60 seconds, sorry, to be more long-term thinking. We have to become more sustainable and holistic inside our values in the business society.
How?
You could do this many ways. You could have incentives or reward systems. You could have tax reliefs on corporations making GRI reportings. Companies as ours, we even took 10% of our shares, gave it away to a non-profit association to show that we mean serious business when we talk about why we're doing our business. So it's a perspective change, I think, on not only how we make business, but why we make business. Yeah, anyway, I was thinking about the bullet points over there. I think when we founded the institution of a corporation, that's a long time ago. And society changed very much during those 100 or what is it, 150 years since we had the stock holdings entity that we call corporation. So I think one thing that we really have to do is to update that institution, because it has a totally different role in society today than it used to have when it was only meant to maximize the profit. Because if corporations are supposed to take responsibility for societal things, common things, then we also have to change the corporations as institutions, because we're not built for doing anything else than maximizing the profit, actually.
In what way?
Oh, you could do this the law way, for example. You could not only work with tax reliefs, but I could tell you a true story. When we founded Plantagon, we wanted the registration authorities to take in ethical things that would prevent us from becoming greedy. It took us 9 months because they said it was against the law. But we went through with it.
Yeah.
This is things that you could change.
You will have to discuss that later, actually. Yeah.